Good morning, everybody. How are you? Happy Monday. We're at the start of another week. It seems like the weekend went by very, very quickly, but I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you and your family are safe in your part of the world. And I'm so grateful that we get to spend another hour here, spending time together and talking about the wonder that is data science. So really happy we get to, live together in these times where there's so many exciting things happening in data science, machine learning, AI, all that good stuff. So if that's what you're about, if that's what you'd like to discuss, you're in the right place. You're in what continues to be a growing community. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. So if you're new, that's totally okay. My channel on different platforms is still getting many new users. So feel free to introduce yourself. We always start off with what's known as our global roll call. That's where we ask people to let us know their city, state, province, country. It's a nice way for people to participate and be part of the conversation with, no pressure to be called upon or anything like that. It's just a good way to build a little bit more professionalism in our approach, right? After that, I'd like to give an opening note. Sometimes it's just different things that I'm thinking about or things that I've like to kind of share with you in an open type of format. And then after that, I'm happy to take all of your questions. I'm basically, one of the things I like the most about my stream is that I keep an open format. You guys essentially set the agenda for me based on the questions that you want to ask. I like being able to take on all comers and just have you guys ask whatever you would like. So that's going to be part of today. So if you are looking for help with your career or school or really anything related to AI or machine learning, or even if it's not, we've had some really good conversations about things that don't relate to AI. We've had some very interesting conversations around that philosophy and goals and things like that. So you're welcome to ask us those questions, really anything you'd like, that I keep an open format. So I'm already seeing some people filling up my chat. So please go ahead and keep on doing that. Just go ahead and let me know your city, state, province, country. And, we'll go from there. So for today's opening note, I really just wanted to share some gratitude because yesterday we finished our latest Sunday series. So for those of you that haven't joined us before, on Sunday, I stream Thursdays through Monday. And I usually keep the same format except for Sundays. On Sundays, it tends to be a little bit more instructional, a little bit more of a tutorial, tends to go a little bit longer. And I also kind of do a Sunday series where, some tutorials can take multiple classes. So we just finished our latest series on bringing up a data science project from beginning to end. My entire goal was to show some of those things that aren't really done in an academic setting, things that you would never do if all you did was do academic projects. That there's a lot of things that go into real world, day in, day out data science that simply aren't taught in the majority of programs. So I think I succeeded in bringing that to you in that series. So really just grateful that we were able to wrap up that series, had a lot of great participation. It's also our second completed series. Previously I had done the Introduction to Statistical Learning series, and now there's this series. So really just wonderful to see that. I want to take a quick look, actually. I was kind of curious about something. So, wow. So if I look at the edited version of the series around creating a data science project, that series turned out to be almost 27 hours. It turned out to be 26.75 hours. That's crazy, guys. That's a lot of hours, right? So really happy that we were able to spend that together and bring all of those good materials to all of you. So hopefully that's something that everyone enjoyed. I had a really good time putting those materials together. I also recognize that some of the items we kind of had to go through a little bit quickly just for the nature of streaming and for kind of pretend project purposes. So if you guys have any questions on that, or if there's a section you want me to revisit, or things along those lines, we can certainly talk about that. Okay. But right now, again, if you're just joining us, you're welcome to introduce yourself. Let us know your city, state, province, country, and happy to take your questions after that. So I'm looking in my chats already. I'm not sure that this has happened before, but this is for the first time I'm seeing 3 Moroccans in my chat right from the beginning. That's incredible. I don't think that's ever happened. So Yassine, you're first today. Thank you so much, my friend. Hello, sir. Yassine from Tangier, Morocco. Hey, Yassine. So glad to see you. Hope you're doing well. Let us know how your studies are going, Yassine. I assume that you're getting towards some sort of exam time or some sort of the end of a first semester. But hope you're doing well. Hope your projects are going well out there. Let us know how you're doing in beautiful Tangier, Morocco. Osama, our good friend from Satat, says, hello, sir. I hope everything is going well. Everything is going very well, Osama. Thank you so much. I got up pretty early this morning. I started doing some editing and other things that I need to do for work. And then on top of that, I also kicked off my 3rd week of investing. I have an investing series that's going on right now. That, by the way, not a lot of people are paying attention to. I thought that one would get a lot more interest. But I have an investing series. I'm starting my 3rd week. I'm showing very, very positive numbers so far. So I'm really excited to see where that's going to end up. Actually, let me put together some of those. Well, you know what? I'll bring up those numbers a little bit later. But Osama, I've been working this morning, feeling great. Looking forward to going out and exercising later today. But hope you're doing well out there in Satat. I believe it's pronounced Makuda. So Makuda, nice to see you over on Kick. How are you? Makuda says, hello, Sir Dennis. Hey, Makuda, how are you? Hope you're doing well. I know that you're also from Morocco. So, it's funny because we have 3 Moroccans, but they're from completely different parts of the country. So I hope that all of you are doing well individually and as a country. Let me know what the weather's like out there for you, Makuda. I imagine it's going to be a little bit colder than other parts of the year, right? I mean, I know it doesn't get that cold, because you guys are close to the equator. But let me know how you're doing. Hopefully everything is going well for you. And Makuda, I know you were also there yesterday for the Sunday session. So if you have any feedback on that, please let me know. But yeah, really glad to have you guys here. Anybody else that's watching or wants to join along, you're welcome to introduce yourself. Just let us know your city, state, province, country, and happy to take on your questions. So right now is actually an excellent time for questions if anybody has them. But what I did want to do real quick is I wanted to look at my stats for my investment series. So if you guys aren't familiar with that, I'm doing an investment series where I am using my own money and I am investing it according to an algorithm that AI wrote. Right? I'm expressing my confidence in AI. And I'm saying, hey, go ahead and invest my money for me, right? And I'm doing whatever the AI tells me to do. And here's my stats so far. I don't want to share, individual daily recommendations, but because I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not trying to advise you to do anything. But I've had 10 days so far of trading, right? I've been doing it for 2 weeks, 5 days during the week. So 10 days total. Of those 10 days, 7 have been profitable days. 7 days have been profitable and 3 have been unprofitable. I've lost money. Right? I am, let's see. Let me double check my formulas here because I got to remember what exactly it is I was doing. Right. Okay. So on those days when here's a key statistic. On the days when I do make money, I actually make less money than when I lose money. So my stats are showing that on average, on a profitable day, Excuse me, sorry. I'm making $8. On a losing day, I'm losing $9. Right? But that's okay. That is okay because I'm still having more positive days than losing days, right? The ratio of positive and losing days is higher than the ratio of my losses to my wins, right? So that's actually a good thing, because if you can get to that, if you can get to those ratios, you can get to what's known as an expected value formula, right? And if I can get to an expected value formula, then I know what every single day's action is expected to bring, right? I can say, well, you know, as long as I keep a positive expected value, I know that today I should be able to make money, or on any given day, I should be able to make money. Over the long run, I should be able to make money. So 10 samples right now is still a small number. But the point is, I wrote this algorithm in 10 minutes, guys, right? The speed is incredible, right? So I'm going to keep on going until the end of the month. But so far, this has been a profitable venture. To let AI, man. Excuse me, that sneeze came out of nowhere. To let AI manage my money. So interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. More to come on that, but I'm really pleased with how it's going. Okay, so Makuta says, it's hard for me to follow the Sunday sessions, sir. I'm a newbie at data science. Okay. Well, Makuta, if I remember right, you also joined the session late, right? So I think that also makes it harder. Makuta, you can also check out some of my other videos. So for example, I prepared my my playlist for the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. That can also help you because that's a little bit more newbie oriented. So let me know if that helps you, but you can find it on my YouTube. Just on my YouTube, search Introduction to Statistical Learning, and you'll find my live streams from that. If you like the format that you've seen in the Sunday sessions, then the Introduction to Statistical format is very similar to that. Okay. Yassine says, sir, I had an idea that I wanted to share. Do you think that in the future, projects that require coding will have a section in their docs to specify the prompts used for different parts, or maybe even what LLM was used? That is a very good question, Yassine. Will the projects of the future require coding? Will the projects of the future that require coding have a section in their docs to specify the prompts used for different parts, or maybe even what LLM was used? You know, that's really good. So Yassine, I'd have to say that I don't think so. My gut tells me I don't think so. And I could see it for other projects, but you mentioned coding specifically, and I think that coding would probably be the least likely to require that type of documentation. Here's why I say that. Because your deliverable to your client is ultimately the code. And they are not likely to care how that code was created, right? So I don't see a benefit to them, to the recipient, right? To want that, right? So I don't see that. Because the code is the code no matter who wrote it, right? Or what prompts, right? Or what LLM. Human written, AI written, right? If we were talking about like research papers or like economic studies, or you're writing reports for the World Bank or something, then yeah, I could see why somebody would say, okay, well, you're giving me these numbers, but I want to know how you asked the LLM to give you these numbers, right? Like, or how you asked the LLM to draw these conclusions, right? So in those scenarios, I could see where you would want to do that. I could see how that would be a requirement. Okay? So I think that makes sense for those types of projects versus coding projects. Now, Yassine, here's something for you to think about. Well, for everyone to think about. And I've had this conversation with a recent coaching client. I could also see a time where companies will specify, hey, we need this project. We want you to develop this project for us, but you can't use an LLM. We want it to be all human generated code. Or you'll be working on a project that has sensitive data or sensitive information, and you don't have a local LLM to work with. So the project, the client will forbid you from using cloud-based LLMs, right? I could see how that would be part of it. I could see how there would be clients or situations that would be part of it. I haven't really taken the time enough to determine like a specific example, but there's plenty of pieces of data that companies do not want out there on cloud services, right? That's changing, right? There's a lot of private clouds and on-premise LLM solutions, but I could see a scenario where you just wouldn't be allowed to use any prompts, right? So in a way, that can represent a risk. And those are the items that I kind of talk about with my corporate clients, right? That can be a risk in itself. But that's the way I see it, Yassine. Yassine says, I'm talking for like other contributors, even for a team that is working together. Maybe. That would be dependent on the culture of the team. I've seen some teams that are very like put a hyper emphasis on documentation. We got to have good documentation. Everything's got to be in there. I've led teams, I've led teams where you're given a documentation specialist and they will do the documentation materials for you. They will do the training manuals for you. They will do the web pages for you, right? So in that scenario, yeah, I could see some teams that would do that, but that's more team dependent than like a tech reason, right? Because I took your question becoming from like a tech reasons perspective, right? So I could see it, but more just like the culture of the team, really, right? But on an individual basis, just, should I write these prompts to just kind of help my coworkers? I'm not sure I see the value in that. And I'm open to being wrong on that. So if you have a scenario where you think it would help Yassine, let me know. But I don't see the value in that. I'm not seeing it, right? Makuta says, yes, that's the right playlist. With 8 parts. Yep, that's the one. So if you go through those parts, that is a little bit more newbie oriented. Still data science, right? Introduction to Statistical Learning is a college level book for sure. But that's another series you could look at, okay? Okay, so Osama says, sir, what steps can I take to protect company privacy while using LLMs as a data scientist in a company? Yeah, good question. One, what's your company's policy, right? That's the first thing you got to ask in that type of situation, because you shouldn't be coming up with the solution you're seeking, right? Or you shouldn't be defining that problem. That problem is usually defined for you by, some policy or regulations or however the company wants to operate, right? So that's the first question. Talk to somebody who knows about what your approach should be. Don't define the approach yourself, right? Like if you get into like a big organization, you're going to have like a CISO, a dedicated CISO. That's a CISO, right? That's an information security officer, right? So that's your first stop, right? What are the privacy concerns that you need to address? So that's the first thing, Osama. From there, it's up to you, the practitioner, to decide how you're going to follow those policies, right? Usually, you're going to have to draw a line between your cloud services versus your on-premise solutions, right? Does your company host the actual boxes and applications that you need for whatever project, or are you relying on a cloud server? That will also further define how you can operate, right? Like between those two things, talking to your your CISO or somebody who knows about data privacy, and whether you're doing cloud or on-prem, that alone will define like 98% of how you need to operate, right? And like you haven't even done anything, right? All you've done is just research and ask people. But that will tell you which direction to go in, like 98% of the time. From there, you'd have to worry about geographic locations, right? Where is the data stored? Some countries have very strict cross-border data policies. So you'd have to figure out if you're in compliance with all of those. That's also very important. And then it just comes down to plain old data security, right? Making sure that none of your team, well, not just your team member, but that you and your team members aren't being a knucklehead in the way you handle data, right? You know, that for me, when I was leading teams, that was always one of my goals. You know, I would always tell people my number one goal is to not have a data breach, because if something does happen, it's on me. I'm the leader, right? It's not on the junior analyst, it's on me. I didn't train them right. So right there, Osama, I think that would address like pretty much every scenario you're going to come along with. So if you have other scenarios, let me know. But the bottom line being is that a lot of these things are defined for you, right? What do I always tell you guys? You guys are a tech team, right? We're a tech team, not a business team, right? We shouldn't be making these decisions. Kind of similar thing with these types of things, Osama, right? There are external policies or even like regulations in your country or, regulations external to your company that come into play with that, right? You shouldn't be making those decisions. Like don't try to make those decisions. Don't try to guess at what you should be doing, right? But yeah, I mean, those things alone, those three things will handle like virtually every scenario, right? Talk to somebody who knows the company policy. Are you doing premise or on-premise? And, do everything you can for you and your team to not be a knucklehead, right? Because, like you could have you could do everything you're wanting to and, be following policy, be doing all the things, and then somebody walks off with a USB stick with somebody's information on it, right? Like you could do everything in the world, and then some junior analyst decides to take a USB stick home, right? So that, but with those three, you should be okay. Kartik over on Instagram, welcome. Kartik, we always ask people to introduce themselves. Let us know your city, state, province, country, and then we're happy to take your questions. Okay. Osama says, thank you, sir. Yeah, you're welcome, Osama. I hope that helps. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to data privacy and data security and all that stuff, it's so driven by policy. It's a lot. If you move into data science leadership, those topics that you're asking about usually are the ones that end up taking a lot more of your time, right? I certainly found that to be the case. It's not my favorite aspect of the job, but, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse. So again, for those of you that are just joining us, please let us know your city, state, province, country. You're welcome to just let us know. No one's going to call on you. We do it to keep the chat professional. I think it really cuts down on the spam and also how we treat each other in the chat. But otherwise, you're welcome to just follow along. Right now is a great time for any questions that you might have. I love taking on different questions from people. I find it challenging, but also like mentally stimulating. So I'm here for you guys. I am going to double check my setup, make sure everything is good on my streams. Guys, I'm telling you, you would think that I would be just a total master at this after all this time. But streaming is not easy. It takes a lot of time, a lot of organization, a lot of stuff. But I enjoy doing it. It's essentially my job now. And, I'm here as long as you guys want me. So last call for questions. So Osama says, sir, why do we use DigitalOcean instead of AWS or Azure for project deployment? Yeah, good question, Osama. So Osama is referring to not yesterday's session, but the previous Sunday session, part 10, where we talked about deploying to DigitalOcean or deploying our project to a production level server, and we use DigitalOcean. Osama, let me know, do you have experience using AWS? Just give me a quick yes, no there, right? Specifically AWS. So why did we use DigitalOcean? First of all, that's just my own bias. I like DigitalOcean. I've been using them for a long time. So I can't ignore that it's just my bias. I like it. I decided to teach with it. But there's other reasons. First of all, it's very cheap. Let's talk about that, right? I like to have servers around. Okay, Osama says no experience with AWS. Okay, Osama, we'll come back to that. I like to just have servers around that I can quickly test code against and just just do my own personal explorations. So it's super cheap for me to have. I think I have 2 or 3 servers up there right now. It's super cheap for me to be able to do that, right? If I want to explore something, I can put up a server. It costs me virtually nothing. If I want to explore MySQL again or something, I can start up a MySQL server for a month, and it's only going to cost me $10. It's very affordable for just throwing stuff quickly up there. Second reason, it's Linux, right? Not a lot of hosting providers provide Linux. But one, that's part of why it's so cheap. And two, to me, working on DigitalOcean, working with Linux, working on the tools that they offer, like the load balancers, the tunneling, the SSH tunneling, the connections they can make with the databases, that is what I have found to be most closely replicant of corporate environments that I've worked in. If I can point to OS things that I've done, operating system level things that I've done that have helped me in the corporate environment, DigitalOcean has provided basically all of those for me, right? I'm not trying to knock on Microsoft or anything, but if you're on Azure, or even if you're using their instances of Windows servers, that's only great if you're going to a Windows shop. And Windows shops do exist, but if you want to work for a large company, you're much more likely to find Linux instances than you are Windows instances, right? So for me, I have just found greater benefit from saying, oh, I just started at this new company and they want me to do some server management. And guess what? The skills that I've learned by having my own Linux servers has really helped me over here, right? So I have just found that that having a Linux host has helped me in that regard, right? And then finally, Osama, coming back to your, to your answer, my previous question about using AWS. Have you guys used AWS recently? Like their interface and their server provisioning is a mess. It is a mess to use AWS right now, right? And like you go in there, you look at their server selections, and there's different screens, and some servers are only available in some data centers, but you can't do that. But if you go across 2 data centers, that's an extra charge. But it's a mess. They have made a complete mess of their AWS interface. And keep in mind, when I say that, I'm just talking about like spinning up the instances, right? What is it? The S3 service, right? But then they have all these other services. They have a service for ID management. They have a service for executing models. They have a service for building models. They have their own database. I can't remember what their own database version is called, right? But they have their own like language of a database. They have S3. They have Elastic Cloud. They have SageMaker. Like all these things that don't mean anything to you unless you're like deep into Amazon, right? And then on top of that, I have always run into trouble like negotiating the login into that server. Like you go through all these steps, all these hurdles to finally get to a Linux server that's running. But then it's like the way they handle the credentials is kind of weird. Sometimes they give you a password, sometimes they don't. I think you can download their SSH key, but you can't send an existing SSH key. It always has to be a new key. Like it's just a mess. To me, AWS is a mess to work with. Like I'm really just kind of disappointed what a tank like when you get in there, you just feel like it's a big tangle of wires that AWS or that Amazon has on their hands with AWS. So DigitalOcean, I have my local SSH keys. I can, I already have them up on DigitalOcean, so I can spin up a Linux instance in no time, right? Like in a couple minutes, I can have a small server, a big server, a GPU server, a CPU, like whatever I want. I can spin it up, couple minutes, I can log in, and I'm working. So just that convenience and those cheap costs, I think, is why I like DigitalOcean better than AWS. But yeah, Osama, you say you haven't used AWS. I would encourage you to, you'd have to pay. I don't think it costs you anything just to have an account. But go on there and pretend you want a new server, and you'll see all the different steps. Like they have made a mess. They have it is messy. Just to get even the most basic server, So I just think DigitalOcean's more convenient, But that's just me. I'm willing to recognize that's my own bias, but try it for yourself. I encourage you to try it for yourself. Either way, I encourage everyone to make sure you have some Linux skills. The larger the company you want to work for, I think, the more likely you are to find benefit in some, Linux skills. You don't have to be a master of it because, Linux is a pretty deep rabbit hole. But to me, DigitalOcean is like the most convenient, most cheap way to get something going on Linux. So Osama, that's my long answer to you, but let me know what you think. But I would encourage everyone to get some sort of Linux experience. I think that it's very helpful. It'd be hard to imagine a scenario where that wouldn't help you at some point in your career. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate everyone that has come today. It looks like we're going to wrap up a little bit early today, and that's okay. But I'm off for the next 2 days. I'll be back on Thursday, but I'm still on social media. I'm still in the Discord. So if there's anything I can help you with, let me know. I also offer one-on-one coaching if you want to get a consultation about your career, your outlook, or anything you want to talk about. But thank you so much for the time that we've spent today. As always, please make sure you take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you guys next time.